Welcome back to the Webby O'Neill channel. As it looks, everyone's piling in on Harry Maguire. We're going to discuss Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville's comments in today's video. Stay tuned, get your own comments in. Smash that like button as well if you enjoyed the video. Tony, first of all, should we start with Jamie Carragher's comments?
Let's start with Jamie.
My question to Maguire is, do you still have that same fury in you? Too often, it looks as if the weight of the world is on his shoulders, like he is startled bunny more than the authoritative centre-back he was. I think it is too late at club level. I wrote last year he was fighting for his Manchester United career. He needs this to be his final season at Old Trafford and start afresh. Do you agree with any of that?
Well, there's a lot there from Jamie Carragher, who has always got an opinion on United and United players. But I've got to agree with quite a lot what he says. I remember Carragher coming out last year, going at Harry Maguire, and on here, I blindly defended Harry Maguire, which is what you do as a Man United supporter. But history tells you he hasn't improved. He's just not improved whatsoever. Harry Maguire was looked after under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He disappeared, Solskjaer, and then under Rangnick, look what happened. Absolute disaster. He is not good enough for this team. And Jamie Carragher's right. And talking about Harry Maguire, I cannot see him improving. I'm not one for shouting and screaming at players, but
what?
No, I know.
I'll tell you what, have a look at back some. Mind you, actually, you're not actually. You do it in
I'm
like
not.
a very calm way, actually.
Yeah, so I'm trying to be calm here, but I have stated, and Jamie Carragher states there, that his career, he can't see it continuing. The thing is with Harry Maguire, and he's pointed out, he's not improving. He's not improving. He's not able to improve, and he's not able to get over it. He can't play in the Manchester United team. He's not good enough going forward, and he's definitely not a captain. And unfortunately, I've got to agree with Jamie Carragher, and that's something I do not like doing. But hey,
do you think, just a question for you, I don't think we've discussed it before on camera or off camera, but do you think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got a lot to answer for with Harry Maguire in terms of, big price tag, £80 million, and when you've got that price tag above your head, you do need time to settle in at the club. But he didn't just have that, Tony. He was given the captaincy of the biggest club in the world in our eyes as well. And for a player to come in at Manchester United, won no trophies at all.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a lot to answer there?
I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, looking back, I backed Ole, but as I said before, history is now, it's there upon us. We can see what happened. They were individuals. He wasn't a captain. He wasn't a leader. And a lot of them players under Ole got away with murder. And Harry Maguire, as a captain and as a supposed leader, he got away with more than most.
Do you think too many people as well compare Maguire to the likes of Roy Keane, Brian Robson? We've seen in the past, Tony, especially in the Premier League area, you look at not just Manchester United, other teams like Chelsea, John Terry, City with Vincent Kompany, the Scousers with Steven Gerrard, us with Roy Keane. Do you think there's too many comparisons sometimes to the likes of Roy Keane? Because we're never going to see captains like that ever again in the Premier League, are we?
No, everyone's different. And them players you mentioned were all different in different ways. The way they attacked the game, the way they looked after their own players, the way they did things in the background. Harry Maguire just does not seem to do anything what them players had. He's not a leader, and he's been shown not to be a leader. And I say it again, under Ole, he got away with it. And then under Rangnick, he was just totally exposed. So
I'm not trying to stick up for Maguire here. I'm just trying to look at every side of the coin, every possibility kind of thing. But, when them clubs that I've just mentioned, your Chelsea, City, Liverpool, the captains they've had in the past as well, they've not really got the same ilk captains even now, Tony. So do you think the modern day game has changed, where really you need 11 captains on the field all working as a team, instead of that one individual to just lead you like a Roy Keane used to do, a John Terry at Chelsea,
it's gone.
Steven Gerrard, it's gone.
Yeah,
and we're focusing too much on the past with our past captains.
Yeah, but he's not even, listen, you've got three departments, defence, midfield, attack. Harry Maguire is in the defence, right? And he's not even a leader there. So how can he lead the rest of the team, right? That's a fact. He just goes wandering. So unfortunately, Jamie Carragher is right. And the captains, you've spoke about there, right, are non-existent anymore, okay? Unless you're in the Manchester City team. And that team has got De Bruyne, and that's a different class. We haven't got that class.
I knew I'd get it out of you in the end with a couple of questions there. Spot on comments there. Let me know what you think about that with Jamie Carragher's comments as well in the comments below. Going to move on to Gary Neville's comments, Tony. You mentioned them after the England game where England drew with Germany 3-3. Been there myself. I gave away 2 really bad goals against Vasco da Gama in the World Cup Championship in the early 2000s. Then 6 months later went on to have a horrible tournament for England in Belgium and Holland. My pain lasted for about 8 months in football terms. I was poor, lost my confidence, didn't want the ball and didn't show for things.
He lost his confidence?
Yeah, he lost his confidence, but there's a little bit more to this as well, which this is the juicy bit.
I'll have the juicy bit.
When I lost my confidence, I went and saw a psychologist to help me through these moments. I would suggest he does what I did. I did go and see my doctor at Manchester United. I did go and get a psychologist and get help. You do need external helps at time.
Well, I'll say this to you. Harry Maguire doesn't need to see a doctor, right? He needs to get stuck into football, concentrate, and if he wants to see anyone, come and see me, right? And I'll explain to him fully what being a captain and playing for Manchester United should be all about. Gary Neville there is giving an excuse for Harry Maguire.
Sorry, go on. Keep going.
An excuse for Harry Maguire. Now, that's ridiculous. He's had long enough. And I'm sure Gary Neville wouldn't give the same time to some of his players for Salford City. I don't think he'd give him the same time and advice and go and see a psychologist while he was paying him big money. I just think he's just going in on him, right? Trying to give him a bit of advice when really, I think behind the scenes, he knows Harry Maguire is not good enough to be captain and he's had enough time and enough chances. He is just not a captain of Manchester United and he is not going to take Manchester United forward. And Gary Neville avoids that subject. Going to see a psychologist, that is just namby-pamby, the world we live in now. That is absolutely ridiculous for a grown man, 29 going on 30, right, who should be at the prime as a centre-half, to go and see a psychologist. Well,
the thing is with me, Tony, to me it sounds a little bit of like a soundbite from Neville.
Maybe.
And, don't get me wrong, these people out there, let's put everything into perspective here in normal everyday life. There's some people out there who will need to go and see a psychologist for actually genuine issues going on in life. Now, when you look at Harry Maguire, he's got poor form, he's just not performing. To me, that doesn't associate going to see a psychologist, Tony.
Over a long period of time.
That to me just means get back to basics as a footballer and start taking accountability for your own performances as well. That might be a start in his own, getting back to where he was, in that season. We got to the Europa League final against Villarreal. He was performing in that season. Maybe he could get back to a similar performances there if he got back to basics. And started taking accountability. We've seen Luke Shaw the other day, and I've got to put all my hands up for Luke Shaw. He come out after the game and he took accountability for his own performances early on in the season at Manchester United, and he can understand why Ten Hag made the change with Malacia. But it's a start. When you start taking accountability for your own performances, Tony, I think you're on then the path to slowly getting back to where you need to be.
All right.
And I think Maguire needs to do that.
Well, I'll look at that. I'll look at what you say there, and I'm going to give it you straight.
I know. I can see it in your face.
I'm going to give it you straight now.
I think I'm wrong here.
Harry Maguire does not take accountability of anything. And Luke Shaw coming out, too late, son. Too late. Harry Maguire, it's too late. This team's moving on, and I'll tell you why it's moving on. Because Erik Ten Hag is here, right, to bring a change, accountability, discipline, the lot here. And Maguire, Shaw, people like that are out. This team's going to change, and it's got 18 months to change. And these people have had the time, they've had the chances, and I'm sorry, you're not on. I like to stick up for my players and all that, but there is a time to move on with what you say about players and backing them. Unfortunately, these players are just not good enough, and I have just had enough.
Do you not think, I watched the England versus Germany game. I don't know if any of you did out there. And that first half, even with Harry Maguire, I thought he had a steady game. But it was just too contrasting first half, second half. The second half, it was just a nightmare for him. But that first half, he played steady, he played well. But do you not think, again, that Gareth Southgate needs to take accountability? Harry Maguire's not been playing football for the last few weeks on Manchester United. And to bring him in on the international stage, you're not going to get a full 90 minutes out of a player mentally and physically in a game against Germany. Yeah, you're going to be making mistakes.
I can't take any optimism, right, from Harry Maguire playing for England or any optimism of England playing at all because they are garbage. It's garbage football, boring and depressing because it's just not competitive. Every time they come up against a competitive team, they'd fail. This is Harry Maguire. You've got to stand up for yourself. I hope he changes, but I can't see it. And Jamie Carragher's right. End of the season, he's got to go.
To be honest with you, I actually do think Erik Ten Hag's handling the situation very well with Harry Maguire. Luckily, we've got Varane who stepped up his levels from last year. Off the injury table, fingers crossed that remains. We've got Martinez coming, so luckily we've got that strong foundation there, a partnership in the spine of defence. And I think with Maguire, I mentioned it to you a few weeks ago, maybe a month or two ago. Maybe it's good for Harry Maguire just to sit in the stands, sit on the subs bench and watch football instead of the pressure and the spotlight on him for any little individual mistakes like he done it at England. That's where I think he's been mismanaged, Tony.
Listen, Harry Maguire has been managed and he's not took it upon himself. Simple as. Erik Ten Hag's got him on the bench and you think he can watch and learn and all that. Too late, 29, going on 30. Your time's up, son. End of. And that's how I'm going to stick with it. I've backed him, but there's a time, right? And I can see with my own eyes. And my eyes don't lie. And I don't need no therapist.
Totally agree.
Wrap it up.
Yeah, our eyes do not lie. And yeah, look, as much as what we do say about Harry Maguire, you know, it'd be beneficial to Manchester United if he did regain some type of form, you know, similar to what we have seen, you know, under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But I very much doubt it. And I do agree with Jamie Carragher's comments, especially the part that this could be his last season at Manchester United, especially given his age and things like that.
We've backed him long enough.
We've backed him long enough.
It can't go on and on and on. There has to come a point, and the point's here now. This season is used as a bit part player, and that's the way it's going to be because we need progression, and we're going to get it under Erik Ten Hag, and Harry Maguire can't lead us.
So, final words, summing up, does he need to see a psychologist?
Needs to see me. Harry,
if you're watching, give us a call. Come and see Tony. Can have a chat. Come and sit here in front of the camera. Sit where I sit and have a chat with Tony. And I'm sure you'll get some post-match therapy off.
Oh, definitely.
Off Big T. See you again soon. Thank you for joining us.
Cheers.